Selecting a large language model for my business. I'm currently trying to decide whether to try Gemini, whether to get ChatGPT Business or Plus, and I also will shortly or briefly discuss Claude and Grok. So Grok has a major disadvantage, which is that the image generation also allows NSV, NSWF, or whatever it is called, NSFW images creation, which I don't need. And also don't want in something that should basically be productive. So I can't really have this because, well, then it generates images. Now, apart from this, the image generation in Grok is also mostly the image generation, and this image generation is not that good for creating logos. I tried a couple of days ago to create a logo in 16:9, not in 16:9, in 1:1, and it did not do the 1:1 logo. It just repeated like 16:9, 16:9, 16:9. Here's a different logo in 16:9, but I needed a 1:1 logo. So it's like Grok. And also in terms of German, because I'm German and I speak English as well, as you might have already found out. Now, in German, a couple of months ago when I last tried Grok, it still made grammar mistakes. It's like ChatGPT didn't make grammar mistakes like 1.5 years ago, I think. Or for the most part, it doesn't. Every now and then you find one, but it seems to be fairly consistent. Now, the German voice mode in ChatGPT is still like often ridiculous. It's like if you speak to it in German and you switch to English, then it speaks English with a German accent, which is ridiculous. But now, it's like, how did this come to be? How does something like this exist? Now, okay, previously I had a ChatGPT Plus subscription, which cost 23 euros a month, and now there is the business subscription. Now, in the business subscription, it says something that it does not say in the personal subscription, which is that you can, what is it? So first of all, you can connect to Microsoft 365, which I don't know if it was possible in ChatGPT. I can't remember. So in ChatGPT Plus also, but it's also Google Drive, Slack, GitHub, Linear, Figma, and more. But I think Figma already, I don't know whether Figma. Now, here's a point. Build a company knowledge and team context with custom team agent plugins. I don't know if I need a custom team agent plugins, but what I do need is a company knowledge. And I don't know how to create this yet. I also tried producing various AI series, which have a couple of thousand views, I guess, at this point in time. And I tried this with Sora and also Sora 2, and, well, the problem is mostly that ChatGPT is too dumb. It can generate something, but then if you reference it, so there are two limits I hit. The first one is that generating the scripts was not sufficient in terms of conversation length. So eventually the project basically ran out of a RAM or whatever, and so I couldn't continue. So after a couple of generations, a couple of hundred, it then simply said, "Oh yeah, I don't remember," and then it just forgot everything. It didn't say it didn't remember, but of course now it didn't generate something that was useful. It's like it can only remember so much. It's like that's the main problem. It's like just remember everything I ever said in ChatGPT and reference it. And it's like I'm still the same person. Why can't you remember? It's like so. I don't know. Unsatisfying. Of course, I want to. And if I don't want you to remember something, I just delete it, I guess. But it's like, if it only remembers like the rolling last 7 days or whatever, I actually talking to ChatGPT a couple of days ago, I asked it. Of course, it doesn't really know because it's just a large language model, which is not really in line with the company structure behind it. And it also often doesn't know the offers, etc. Of course, it can research the offers, but there is no, it's like, ChatGPT itself seems to not be trained on ChatGPT's plans, for example. Ridiculous. Now, build a company knowledge that would actually be something that's useful, but I don't know if this is any different from the Plus model. So I also tried Claude and Grok. Now Claude has a big problem, which is that the voice recognition is not that good. It's like, okay, yeah, and here are 3 words missing. This doesn't really happen in ChatGPT. Of course, now in ChatGPT, also often voice recognition is quite terrible. Also, I often mumble because it's like, how much effort do I put into a word if I just speak to an AI? It's like a very significant question. It's like, also, of course, now with normal people, it's like, how much, it's like, do I want to illustrate like this just to, and with an AI, it's like just the bare minimum, obviously, because, well, you don't want to over-invest because, well, resources are limited, I guess. So now, Claude used to have, it seems, at least according to a few social media posts from other people I've seen, used to have a very good thing for building websites, but I don't know if I use it for this because, like, The problem, I think, mostly, it's not that there is a problem. Of course, one could do it still. Nonetheless, if one builds a workflow, one only needs one single variable to be slightly different for the workflow to no longer work, and then the entire thing is broken. And so every time one codes something, it's like one thing is missing, and then you're searching for an error. I cannot really code, so I did write a couple of command prompts, scripts, or whatever these are called, with ChatGPT, and use them in Windows, which sometimes worked, and then usually it doesn't work. So it seems that from an efficiency perspective, it's often safer to just be a user. It's like, just use the things you can already use, and somebody else is managing the complexity of the potential of the workflow potentially breaking. And so if the workflow breaks, you can just complain, and then you switch to something else because you can switch to something else. And compared to, okay, I now spent 3 days trying to implement a workflow, trying to build a custom thing for me, which then I won't use in like 3 weeks because the situation has already changed. So it seems that using things also as a business is, well, it's just, yeah, well, a different way of doing things, I guess. Now, it doesn't, okay. Now, the question is, all right, if I would stay with ChatGPT, now the problem is that for research, for videos I make, for example, I would actually want something else, which would be Grok. And because often ChatGPT just talks so much trash, and it's not necessarily because the LLM, I guess, is by itself so wrong, but because of basically the censorship that is lied over. Not only the censorship, but also it's like, if you complain, it's not, if I complain about something, it's not that I want to now emotionally deload myself and get an emotional response. It's because I want to solve a problem, which now I cannot solve because, well, or the problem is there. So, in a sense, being aggressive or whatever, it is just a means to an end. It's solving the problem. And so I don't want to get an empathetic response of, it's like, I don't want to talk to ChatGPT because ChatGPT is, it's just a person I don't want to talk to. That's kind of the easiest way to describe it. It's just, I don't want to talk to ChatGPT. I try to have it in a scientific setting, but it's like terrible to talk to. And it switches back to this empathetic thing or whatever all the time. It's like, oh, you have a problem, try calling this helpline or whatever. It's like, no, what are you talking about? I want to solve a problem. All right, back to the decision. So Claude is terrible because of the voice mode. It's not the voice mode, but the voice recognition. Well, it's not it's unusable basically for me, I guess. So the question is not which is the most optimal. The question is which is the least insufficient. Not the least insufficient, but the least worse, one could say. So the least bad, I think, is better. Which is all right. Claude therefore is out, I think. I could actually take a look at how much Claude is or which subscriptions it has. So let's take a look at Claude subscriptions. But I also don't like the font, and well, I also am so used to ChatGPT. They, I think, kind of have locked me in. Okay, free is $0, pro is $20 a month, regular use, standard usage capacity, max 5 times higher, it's $100, and then is max 20 times, which is $200. Actually, quite simple in terms of the pricing structure. Alright, ChatGPT also has a plus plan, which is $103 per month, which I definitely won't get 5 times or more usage. Actually, when doing a couple of tasks, especially with, so I did have plus before, and when I try to create metadata for media I uploaded, it actually constantly hit the limits, and also with image generation. I think there is a limit, or there used to be a limit of like 20 to 40 images per, I don't know how many hours, and then I hit it, and then I could not. And also with uploading images, I constantly hit the limits. But it's like switching to Pro. It's like €103 a month. Maybe it would make sense for some workflows, but maybe it doesn't. Because as soon as I switch to workflows and as soon as I have something else to do, it's like I no longer need it, I guess. All right, then there is business. Business and enterprise. Enterprise is custom pricing, and business is €21 a month. The problem now, if I stay with ChatGPT, is that I don't have the Grok voice mode, which would be 2x. I also already wrote ChatGPT that maybe they should implement the voice mode. Why don't they with 2x? Why don't they do it? Probably because it's a higher compute per user per time. So that's probably the main reason. And Grok experiments a little more also with image creation, and so they need to probably still get users, so that's probably why they do it. So it seems that the obvious choice is to get ChatGPT Business.